Shabbat Shalom on this Parshat Tzav. Parshat Tzav details the priest's responsibilities in performing sacrifices, emphasizing the eternal fire on the altar on the Ner Tamid, the daily offerings, and the induction of Aaron and his sons into holy service. It outlines procedures for the burnt offerings, grain offerings, sin, guilt, and peace offerings, alongside instructions for the priestly portions and prohibitions against consuming fat and blood. Lots of different things we can cover this week in Parshat Tzav. And I could be offering the longest sermon of the year on preparing for Pesach, but I'm going to spare you that. Instead, let's take a look at thank you, Dan. Let's take a look at the first line of the Parsha. Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, and Yud-Heh-Vav spoke to Moshe, saying, Tzav, there is the name of our Parsha, et Aharon v'et banav lemor, zot Torah ha'olah, he ha'olah mugda al mizbeach kol halayla ad boker ve'eish hamizbeach tukad bo. So Yud-Heh-Vav speaks to Moshe saying, command, tzav, mitzvah. You hear the root tzav in mitzvah, commandment, instruction. Command Aaron and his sons, saying, Zot HaTorah. Well, Zot Torah. This is the Torah. Now keep in mind, Yud-Heh-Vav is not referring to HaTorah, the Torah that we're reading from at this very moment, but rather, in this case, it's meanings the instruction. So the word Torah can also mean an instruction or a teaching. This is the teaching, right, of the burnt offering. It's the burnt offering we're talking about, which is burning upon the altar, kol laila, all night until the morning, and the fire of the altar shall be kept burning on it. Now, what is the most important thing for us to keep our eyes on is the following. Eish tamid tukad al mizbeach lo tichbeh. Eish tamid tukad al mizbeach lo tichbeh. The fire, the eish, shall ever be burning upon the altar. It shall never go out. Aha! This should remind you of something. What hangs over the ark in every shul in the universe? Yes, of course, it is the Ner Tamid. And there it is, right there. Oh, let's get a little fire burning here. Okay, thank you very much. It is the Ner Tamid, the eternal light, which we learned from this week's Parsha, that it should always be burning. Now, of course, we understand this in the world of Asiyah, in the world of, things we can touch, as the Ner Tamid in our spiritual, our sacred spaces. However, it can also take on another meaning. Of course it does. Reb Zalman, of blessed memory, talks about the fire. He wrote a whole book about the fire called Wrapped in a Holy Flame. Teachings and tales of the Hasidic masters, because as we know, Hasidut centers on the psycho-spiritual meaning of the Torah, of the instructions, of the teachings that we are offered every day. So, one of the Rebbes that Reb Zalman writes about is the Kotzker Rebbe, Menachem Mendel of Kotzk. And if he looks stern to you, that's because he was known as a very machmir, a very stern teacher, right? And one of the things that he placed emphasis on was that the purpose of man is to drag God into our lives. Well, that is, I don't think that I can understand that on the surface level. How do I do that? How do I drag? How do I pull divinity into my life? Well, perhaps we can offer a couple of possibilities. And this is by way of a story. A Chabad rabbi came to the town of Kotzk, and Rebbe Menachem Mendel asked him, tell me, what does your Rebbe tell you about kavanot? about the intention you have when you are saying Shema Yisrael. Okay, so there's a little test going on here. The Kotzker Rebbe wants to know how this Chabad rabbi, right, how that Chabad rabbi lives with the times. The Chassid excitedly began telling Rebbe Nachum Mendel about the Chabad system, describing many heady intellectual things. Well, when he was done, Rebbe Nachum Mendel listened to him patiently, and then he said, Obe, hast du einen Kopf? Und was hast du sich in Puppik? For those of you who understand a little bit of Yiddish, basically, Menachem Mendel is saying, okay, I can understand what you got in your head, but what's going on in your kishkit? All righty. So our late beloved Chazan, Jack, always used to teach that stop singing from here, sing from here, right? I want you to sing from the kishkis, he would say, right? So Reb Menachem Mendel, by way here of Reb Zalman, is teaching us that it's the fire in the belly that we need to pay attention to. The fire in the belly. Now, this fire in the belly, how do we keep the flame lit? Some suggestions. First of all, the symbolism of the Ner Tamid, it represents the heart, where the fire of passion, desire, and divine emotion should burn continuously. The Ner Tamid represents constant renewal. In the same way that Yud Hey Vav Hey renews creation every day, we talked about before, passion must not be a one-time event, but an ongoing daily commitment that transforms everyday life into a sacred experience. More. A way to do it. Small acts of kindness. Small acts of kindness are the fuel that keep the soul's inner fire alive and prevent it from becoming mundane or extinguished. And then finally, this fire symbolizes a burning desire for connection with the divine, acting as a constant reminder to kindle the flame in our personal lives. I know for me, this comes somewhat naturally because I sense divinity filling all creation and surrounding all creation. That when Elohim performed the act of tzimtzum, of withdrawing, so that be room for other, there still remained God's presence inside and out. Mimale kol olmim, v'sovev kol olmim, umi biladecha, ein klum b'tziut klal. Oh Yah, you fill all worlds and surround all worlds, and Yah, without you there is no world at all. Join me. Mimale kol olmim, v'sovev kol olmim, umi biladecha ein klum metziut klal. There's no life at all. Oh Yah, you fill all worlds and surround all worlds, and Yah, without you there is no world at all. Oh Yah, you fill all worlds and surround all worlds, and Yah, without you there is no world at all. On this Shabbat Hagadol, on this Shabbat Tzav, may we rekindle our passion for love, for kindness, and for justice. Shabbat Shalom. Yirirai rai 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 rai.